It's likely that you've experienced synchronicity at least once in your life. Maybe you were thinking about calling an old friend you haven't spoken to in a long time, only to have them call you at that exact moment. Or perhaps you were wrestling with a personal problem when a song with lyrics that seemed to speak directly to your current circumstances started playing unexpectedly. Or you suddenly decided to take a different route home, only to discover later that you avoided an accident. These seemingly random coincidences are what psychologist Carl Jung called synchronicity.
Say, I have a certain thought or a certain definite subject is occupying my attention, my interest. At the same time, something else, quite independently, happens that portrays just that thought. Now, this is utter nonsense, looked at from a causal point of view. That it is not nonsense is made evident by the results of Weil's experiments.
Synchronicity is a term that was invented by Jung in 1952 to describe meaningful coincidences. Jung defined synchronicity as a coincidence between an inner psychological state or event and an external event. There is no causal connection between the two events, and no causal explanation can be given for the connection. But the connection seems meaningful to the experiencing individual. Think of synchronicity as meaningful coincidences that feel too perfect to be just random chance. It's when something happening in your mind, like a thought or feeling, matches up with something happening in the world around. Jung spent many years working with Nobel Prize winner Wolfgang Pauli to understand why meaningful coincidences happen in our lives. Quantum physics reveals that light can be both wave and particle, depending on how we observe it. Similarly, Jung proposed that in the deeper layer of reality, which he called the collective unconscious, mental and physical events exist initially as potentials that can appear in either our minds or the physical world. Sometimes they appear simultaneously in both mental and physical realms, creating what we experience as synchronicity.
I have come across quite a number of cases where it was most astounding to find that two causal chains happened at the same time, but independent upon each other, so that you could say they have nothing to do with each other. Of course, it's quite clear. For instance, just so I speak of a red car, and at that moment a red car comes here. Now, I hadn't seen it. It was impossible because it was behind the building. In this moment, the red car appears. Now, this is, that's mere chance. The Reil's experiment proves that these cases are not mere chance. Of course, many of these things are occurrences where we cannot apply such an argument, otherwise we would be superstitious. We can't say, now this car has appeared because here was, some remarks have been made about the red car.
It's not cause and effect.
This is a miracle that a red car appears. It is not that it's chance, just chance. But these chances happening more often than chance allows. And that shows that there is something behind it.
Jung came up with an idea called Unus Mundus, which means one world, suggesting that our thoughts and the physical world aren't as separate as we usually think. Jung also believed there are universal patterns, archetypes, that help keep our minds balanced. When we get too stuck in one way of thinking, these patterns can trigger meaningful coincidences to help us see things differently, like his famous experience with the Scarab beetle. During a therapy session, as his patient described a dream about a golden scarab beetle, an ancient Egyptian symbol of rebirth and new beginnings, a rose beetle, Europe's closest equivalent to the scarab, tapped at the window and flew into the room. Jung presented it to his patient saying, "Here is your Scarabaeus." This shook up her whole way of thinking. She had always lived her life by strict logic and pushed away her feelings. But after this strange but meaningful coincidence, she began to see that life isn't just about logic and control. She started to trust her feelings more and found a better balance between her thinking mind and her emotional side. It's like the Beetle helped build a bridge between these two parts of herself, helping her become more whole. Another important point that should be addressed when discussing synchronicity is emotions. Jung believed that our emotions play a very important role in synchronistic events. This idea, as he highlighted himself, was already known to Avicenna and Albert the Great. Albert the Great claimed that the human soul might possess an innate ability to influence reality, especially during moments of intense emotional states like love or hatred. Just as Goethe would later describe it, comparing this phenomenon to magnetic forces that attract or repel based on their nature. This helps explain those special moments when everything seems to fall into place exactly when we're feeling something very strongly. Now let's take a closer look at 5 distinct types of synchronicities that emerge from Jung's work. Warning synchronicities. These occur before stressful or pivotal events, especially when facing important decisions. They serve as cautionary signals, steering us away from potentially negative outcomes during chaotic times, when even small choices can have major consequences. Confirmation synchronicities. These appear during moments of spiritual growth and transformation, confirming we're on the right path. They create profound wow moments, filled with a sense of magic, and often carry deep personal significance that only the individual can truly understand. Prophetic synchronicities. Also known as signs or omens, these symbolic messages can appear in daily life through recurring elements, meaningful numbers, or significant dreams. They require careful interpretation and pattern recognition to understand their meaning. Manifestation synchronicities. These occur when thoughts or desires materialize in reality, like thinking of a long-lost friend before unexpectedly meeting them. This phenomenon suggests our thoughts can influence both future and, surprisingly, past events, a concept supported by quantum physics. Opportunity synchronicities. These represent perfect timing that transcends coincidence, offering escape routes from challenges or gateways to new life chapters. They feel natural and preordained, accompanied by a surge of joy and relief. To integrate synchronicity into daily life, one must cultivate acute awareness and pay attention to seemingly insignificant details. Journaling helps track these meaningful coincidences and uncover hidden connections. Jung's insights suggest that reality responds to our emotions and consciousness. By staying aware and trusting our intuition, we can recognize the signs that point us toward growth, balance, and wholeness. Far from being mere chance, synchronicities remind us that the physical world and our thoughts are not separate, but part of a unified reality. They encourage us to move beyond logic and embrace the mystery of existence.